Hello and welcome to this episode of I should probably fix that. So I have this mess that will be a Tracer cosplay. I got to use it for one convention before it broke, which is kind of normal for my cosplays. They don't tend to last very long because I rush them last minute. Anyways, that's not the point. I am hoping to make a lasting cosplay, so I guess let's do it. See what happens. Hope for the best. Hope for the best, prepare for the worst. Before doing this, it was really hard to move in my Tracer cosplay because the harness and the chronal accelerator were basically one piece. And so if one thing broke, the whole thing was pretty much gone, which made walking and sitting rather awkward as everything I did had to be done with extreme caution so as to not break anything. So my plan going into this was to make all of the pieces separate and made so that you can attach them together rather than having pieces of the chronal accelerator be attached to the webbing and to buckles and basically acting like bridges between the other parts. That way I won't have to walk like a penguin to avoid the craft foam breaking and everything falling apart. Again. So the first thing I did here was take everything apart and set aside anything not related to the harness itself. This meant detaching the front half of the chronal accelerator, which unfortunately was held together by hot glue and resulted in a bit of a mess and some busted parts. I also took off some buckles that were previously to attach the back of the chronal accelerator, only to realize I still needed the buckles there just for something different. So I then reattached them and then eventually removed them again because I realized I should be sewing the webbing on, not the buckle. But once I got past that part, the rest was fairly easy actually. Since I already had everything measured out for the most part and was really just fixing what I already had done, the rest basically consisted of sewing things together instead of leaving it hot glued, so that it would be a lot more secured. And yes, about half of the webbing was hot glued, but not anymore. I was able to sew everything nicely so I don't have to fear sitting down anymore, and I even went outside and melted the ends of the webbing with a lighter so they wouldn't fray and ruin. Because I had previously set it up the way that I did, I also had a few cut pieces of pleather that needed to be not cut the way that they were. They had previously been entirely attached to the accelerator so that it would mimic exactly what parts you can see on Tracer, but now I want them on the harness instead, and done such that it's still showing in the right places. This color of pleather is basically perfect for this cosplay, I think, so I was nervous because I didn't have much more of it besides a small square, so I was really hoping that I'd be able to make it work. Fortunately, the pieces in the front that needed to be one piece rather than two, I was able to just sew them straight together since they were big enough, and I didn't need to try and add anything or mess with it too much. Plus, once everything is together, the seam should be hidden at least enough for it to not look too bad. Okay, so first of all, sorry, because I know I'm not really going to be in the frame fully, but that's not what's important. This is what's important. So I actually didn't think I was going to be able to get it on here decently enough to show, so I'm really happy about that, but that's also not the point. So to recap what I did in this video, I basically sewed these together because previously they were hot glued to a piece of craft foam. Same with this, I sewed these two pieces together because they used to be separate and they were also just kind of attached to craft foam. I went through and I had a bunch of these, they had been hot glued, so I sewed those, sealed the ends only, so I don't have to worry about that. I also, in the back, the infamous buckles. These buckles, they previously had been a lot further down, pretty much completely concealed, and then just sewn in. And so what I did was I took them off, put this piece of webbing through, and then sewed the webbing to the back, and then kind of sewed the webbing at into a little triangle shape so that it turned in the way it needed to. So that's pretty much everything I did in the video, but just to go over the way that I have it made, just for, so y'all know, initially I had a bunch of buckles all over it just so that it was a lot easier to get on and off because it was really big and bulky because everything was attached to everything. But I guess technically now I don't need half of the buckles that I have. But these ones are aesthetics. It's actually part of the design. They'll be sitting up here and they'll clip into the back of the accelerator. So those are necessary. But like I probably don't need like these ones. There's a bunch of buckles down here attaching everything. But I particularly like having these buckles and these buckles because if I have to like go to the bathroom or something, I won't have to take everything off. I can just unclip those ones and then it's completely separate perfectly. It's also nice having all the buckles just in case something happens and I do need to take off like a specific part of it. It is still nice having it in so many pieces, I think. And then I had added magnets here, here, and then on the sides. And that's pretty much how the chronal accelerator is going to attach. It'll just magnet right on and hopefully hold well enough. But yeah, that way if something is a lot less likely to break, it's more likely that the magnet's just going to come undone, and that's a lot easier to fix. You just put the magnet back rather than, oh, now I have to go to cause repair and hot glue everything again. I really need to stop using hot glue as religiously as I do. But anyways, so that is, I think, pretty much it. I'm gonna have back issues from this video. Yeah, this worked out really nice because previously this strap was really long because I had it looped through here to actually be adjustable so that I would just like move it, I could move it and it would like hold the accelerator in the back, but it could adjust to hold it where I needed to every time. So I'd already had all of this on here and I didn't have to go and like cut it. Oh right, this, sorry, you can pretty much ignore this little piece of Velcro. I was just marking a spot. Ignore that. That's for me. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will probably continue to upload videos of me fixing up my cosplays and hopefully eventually starting from scratch making new cosplays once I actually fix all the ones that I have. That's it. Did you know that 1% of the people who subscribe to me don't regret it later? That means if you subscribe, you could be part of the majority.